Assalamu alaikum, all dear students. How are you? Hoping you all fit and fine, having new experiences of quarantine, and at the same time, having lots of enjoyment of watching movies, using different gadgets, social media, and of course, boredom. It's sort of mixture. Let me ask you a question. Have you thought of your study? If you did not, it would be a disaster perhaps in the days to come, or if you kept studies along with all your activities, so you must not be worried as those who are irresponsible students. So whatever time lost, it cannot come back, but the time left, we can make the maximum use of it. So do not sit on the chair worrying what's going to happen. Your coaching center, namely ME, has brought reinforcement lectures for you so that whatever has blurred in your mind may be recalled. It's not that difficult. What you need is to give your full attention. And here we are bringing lectures of important chapters followed by the chosen questions. So let me begin with your first chapter, that is Pakistan Zindabad. You remember this? It's been quite a long time you studied this, perhaps 7 or 8 months back. Yes, Pakistan Zindabad is written by John Walton, extracted from the book Qaid-e-Azam. This chapter is basically divided into two parts. First part tells us how Qaid-e-Azam was welcomed by the huge crowd here in Karachi when he came first on 7th August 1947 at Maripur Airport, and his historical lecture, in which he categorically stated that you are free to go to your temples, you are free to go to your mosques, you are free to go to your churches or any other place of worship you want, which has nothing to do with the affair of this country. And you are all equal citizens of this state. That is how first part goes. And second part is all about the struggle of the Muslim League, and which was a bit slow prior to Pakistan resolution. But since Pakistan resolution was passed at Minto Park, Lahore, the process of getting separate country became speedier because they resolved in this particular resolution that any step, whether from British government or Congress, which would keep us away from making Pakistan, would be unacceptable. And the resolve was so strong that next day one of the Hindus newspaper called this resolution Pakistan resolution. At the same time, Congress government gave a call of mass civil disobedience. And during this civil mass disobedience, top leadership of Congress was jailed, and Qaid-e-Azam took maximum advantage of this situation. He reorganized Muslim League across the subcontinent and of course founded a newspaper named Dawn. It was the single English Muslim newspaper then in undivided India. When the crisis of separation became fierce, so it was decided that the top leadership of both of the parties, would live at least for 3 weeks together and finally would reach a solution. So Qaid-e-Azam and Mahatma Gandhi both were separated for 3 weeks. They held dialogues, they had heated discussions, but there was no solution. Qaid-e-Azam was very well decided and he did not compromise on the separation of India. So was the case of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was also adamant. This is how this meeting, ended in failure. And when there came partition, according to John Walton, almost 6.5 million people were either killed mercilessly or carried away to imprisonment, and which was a great setback for Qaeda-e-Azam. And this is not one of the setbacks of Qaeda-e-Azam. There was yet another after this, that Hindu Maharaja of Kashmir, namely Hari Singh Dogra, he deviated from his treaty and favored Indian government, taking bribe from Indian government, and handed the charge of Kashmir to Indian government. Subsequently, Indian government deployed army in Kashmir, and Kashmir was kept away from Pakistan. And now Qaeda-Azam, aged above 70, he has done much part of his assignment given by the Muslims of subcontinent. And right after a year of making of Pakistan, he left us forever. He was buried in the heart of Pakistan, that is Karachi. So this was a brief introduction. I hope that what was blurred in your mind about Pakistan Zindabad, which is very important chapter, must have come back with some main contents. Yes. Now here comes a question extracted from the same very chapter. When and where Pakistan resolution was passed? I have already given the answer of this question in my brief introduction of this first chapter of your book. However, we have given you some key points. If you keep these key points in your mind, you will be able to answer in a paragraph. Yes, the first key point is the place where it was held. It was held at Minto Park, Lahore. When? The time is 23rd March 1940. They demanded for a separate country. And of course, this Pakistan resolution was called by a Hindu newspaper. And since then, it has been called the Pakistan resolution. And let me tell you one more point, that is the top leadership of Muslim League. I reiterate that they firmly decided anything which would stop them from creating a separate country would not be acceptable. If you keep all these key points in a shape of sentences, that would become a paragraph, and it would be a perfect answer for you. And it would not take you so much time to memorize things, because when you memorize a whole paragraph, so you might lose some contents, you might have some situational mistakes as well. But if you keep these key points in your mind and write these key points in a sentence, so that would be 5 sentences, and maximum 6 sentences required to answer your question from 4 to 6. So that's next question is, why John Walton used the word terrible for the first year of Pakistan? The first point of this question is violence during the partition. I've just told you in brief introduction that almost 6.5 million people were murdered mercilessly or carried away to imprisonment at the time of partition when they were migrating from India to Pakistan, which followed by killing, burning, plundering, and all that. And when Pakistan became separate country, other than the violence, the biggest problem Pakistan government faced was shortage of funds. And due to shortage of funds, the migrated people, would not be accommodated in various parts of Pakistan. And the last very tragic event, that was the death of Pakistan just within the year of making of Pakistan, and which was yet another setback for the entire nation. So if you keep these 4 points in your mind, so you will be able to answer this question. And mark this question is pretty important. Have you got it? Let's get down to the next one. Yes. The question popping onto your screen which says, why did the Congress leaders spend most of their time of the World War II in imprisonment? Yes, during Second World War, Congress government did not favor British government, and which would result a mass civil disobedience on the part of Congress. As a result, British government jailed all the leaders of Congress into imprisonment, and Muslim League took a great advantage out of this situation. Qaeda-Azam came out in the middle, reorganized Muslim League, and of course introduced English newspaper named Dawn. So during Second World War, all Congress leaders spent their time in jail, turning away from what British government asked them for. The key points: civil mass disobedience, as they were against the British decision of war. British wanted them to favor them in World War II, but they denied, which led imprisonment of many Congress leaders. Here, this first lecture comes to an end. I hope that you are going to listen this attentively and recall all the answers of the questions which you have either not studied or being a bit blurred in your mind. So until the next lecture, take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.